Happy morning, truthers. What's going on? I just got into a little tiff with this older guy. Well, he's an older guy, old man. You know, we weren't yelling at each other. It wasn't no cursing or anything like that. But I'm at a gas station, and there's a paper that says measles top 700 cases. And I looked at that. And I was like, that's such bullshit. And then he looks over, he's like, oh no, he goes, wow, that's really scary. I'm like, no, it's not. And he's like, oh, but I had the measles. I was like, well, did you die? Are you alive? Right? You're alive, right? I think you're alive. And he was like, yeah, but I was real uncomfortable. And I was like, okay, so people aren't dying, and that's 700 people out of 300 million people. So it's not scary. Why are you scared? And he was like, well, I'm like, it's ridiculous. I didn't curse in front of him. I wasn't like, oh, that's bullshit. 'Cause he's old enough to be a grandfather. But I was just like, in my head, I'm like, that's some bullshit. Why is this old guy that already had the measles, before and didn't die, why is he like scared of the measles? What? He just probably like listens to the news all the time. And I swear to God, I think that the alpha waves make people crazy. I mean, there is something to that about the programming of people's minds and how it's like, he doesn't have common sense. How do you get the measles and you didn't die, you didn't go blind, like you don't have any complications, and it's supposedly coming back? And it's scary. On top of that, it's only 700 people out of 300 million. That's less than 1%. Less. I mean, it's probably 0.00. I don't know the math, but it's super, super low, right? Because 30,000 would be 1%. It's not even 30,000. So 300 million people in the U.S. And then I think 30,000 would be 1%, right? And then, it's not even 1,000, it's not even 1/30 of 30,000 people, 700 people, 300 million people. This is just insane how people get so scared so easily, and they don't, because they're not using their common sense and they're just giving into fear. This is what I'm talking about. And I swear, I know I keep bringing this up, but this is just fascinating to me in the sense that I think this is what happened with the polio scare, because if we had they made it seem like when I was a kid and I would hear about polio and I would see the iron lungs, I just thought the hospitals were filled with people that were paralyzed, and there were like hundreds and thousands of people just like dropping from getting paralyzed by the polio virus, quote unquote, And now I'm just like, I'm starting to use my common sense, and I was like, well, if it was that many people, then I would see people around my parents' age, lots and lots of people around my parents' age that were paralyzed from the polio from the polio virus, right? Even though there are more people that seem like they got paralyzed from the polio vaccine. That's another video. Please check out my page. I just posted a video. I found some footage of Jonas Salk, who is the inventor of the polio vaccine, and he's saying, no, come on. And he's saying that you could get polio from the live virus vaccine. He says it in his own words, the inventor. And mind you, the Cutter incident where people got polio from the polio vaccine, it's a well-documented event. And it was his vaccine. So I think it was it released in April 1955 or something like that. And then a few months later, the Cutter incident happened. So they're like, oh, this, he comes and he cures polio, which is another bullshit myth, because vaccines aren't a cure. So they're supposed to prevent you from getting the disease. So technically, by their standards, it would have stopped people from getting polio if the vaccine did stop polio, which I don't think it did, but if it did, that's how the vaccine would work. It's not like if you got polio and then you got the vaccine, you were cured of polio. So even by their standards, that's not what a vaccine is. And it's really frustrating because I think a lot of people think that. They think that vaccines cure things. They're preventatives, okay? So they don't cure things. If you get a disease, a vaccine isn't going to help you. Even, you know, my uncle was like, a couple years ago, I was in New York. He's like, oh, I'm getting the flu. I need to go get a flu shot. I'm like, a flu shot's not going to help you. If you have the flu, then just ride it out. Like the flu shots, you're not supposed to get vaccinated anyway while you have a disease, according to their standards, because they know that it definitely leads to complications, health complications. So then he thought about it and he was like, oh, I guess you're right, because well, after I finish getting the flu, after I'm over the flu, I'm still getting a flu vaccine. I'm like, why? You don't need one. If you have the flu, why are you going to get one after you have the flu one? So you can get the flu again? Because I stopped getting the flu, but even before I was like, you know, hardcore anti-vax, I stopped getting the flu vaccine. I just thought, which is kind of funny, I just thought I had an allergic reaction or something, or I just was sensitive to it or something. That was my logic, right? When I would get the flu vaccine and then I would get the flu, I would get sick. And then I remember one time I went to the doctor and I was super sick and I was like, help. And they're like, hey, we can't really give you anything for the flu because you already have this antiviral. But then they tried to play this like Jedi mind trick on me and say like, oh, you don't really have the flu. I was like, yeah, but I'm really puking and I really have a fever and I really called in sick for work. So I really have something. And I just got it after the flu shot. So that kind of pissed me off. And then I was just like, well, I'm just not going to get the flu shot next year. And I'm going to see if there are any other ways I can, you know, stay healthy. E.g., vitamin D, C, and A. Lots of water. That's what I did. And I have not been sick. I haven't been sick from the flu in 10 plus years, I would say. And I haven't gotten since I got the flu shot. I mean, since I stopped getting the flu shot. So people are just so programmed. You know, it's sad. It's sad, you know, and I'm sure that guy, that older guy, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets his flu shot every year. To get your flu shot, okay. Line up, get the flu shot. You know, what? Then get dementia afterwards. You know, and it's so interesting because, you know, back in the day, before vaccines, there wasn't all this, you know, all these cases of autoimmune disorders and cancer and dementia. That's another thing that they don't talk about, the flu shots that they're pushing on older people, you know, and then they just all of a sudden get like dementia later. But, you know, but it's so funny. Now, people don't make the common sense connection that they say that eating out of aluminum containers and cooking in aluminum pots with aluminum higher your risk of dementia, right, and Alzheimer's. But getting cumulative vaccines over the years where you're being injected with it and it accumulates, it doesn't leave your system, and it bypasses your blood-brain barrier and goes straight to your brain, that doesn't give you dementia. Well, independent study shows that it has, because there's I think it was Chris Exley, he did experimentation where he got some brains. He was able to get brains and open them up and saw that they, you know, of people with dementia and stuff, and he saw that like autism, and he saw that, you know, they had a massive amount of aluminum that accumulate in the brain, because that's what vaccines do, right? They carry all that shit to your brain and other places too that your body doesn't know how to process. So I don't know, I was just really frustrated, and it was kind of funny that guy got mad because I wasn't falling for that bullshit of being scared of 700 measles cases, right? They're just trying to push this shit on us, and it's very scary. The person in the comments who said that they were talking to the police officer and he said that they were doing drills, you should report that to Texans for Vaccines Choice and talk to them about it. I mean, I can't say anything because I don't know the details of what happened. I'm not you, but you should report that to them. You're in Austin. That's really scary. And if they are doing drills for, you know, to mass vaccinate people, then I mean, how many police officers and military people are going to go for this? So they're really just going to follow orders like that? You know, a lot will, some won't. I don't know how many. But, you know, I know a lot of police and military people are awake in this area because a lot of people in the military have had vaccine injuries, so they know that shit's bullshit. Which is interesting that guy, he had anymore. So I was thinking, you know, he wouldn't be so asleep when it came to the vaccine issue, but obviously he was. Anyway, y'all. Sorry, my throat. I'm getting I just have something in my throat. Okay, that's better. Yeah, so I think that it's sad, you know, there are people that just watch TV and they just believe whatever it's you know, whatever comes out of it. And I know the elites, you know, bank on that. They're banking on people not using their common sense and just, you know, being fed lies and propaganda. And it works to a certain degree. So don't let that be you. Get the facts. Please check out our store. I don't promote the store. People's like, oh, can we give you donations? You can give me donations. I don't put the donation links up as much. But we're selling these cool bumper stickers. I'm about to promote more soon. And some artwork at www.truthertalk.com, truthertalk.com, and yeah, like buy some of that. Support. You can support that way. And also go on our Facebook page, because we put, you know, political stuff here and there, but we've been really making an effort to, because I have other admins. I'm saying we. Me and the co-founder, the co-owner, and then other admins, we've been making it our duty to actually post a lot of vaccine information on our page. And there's a really good one of Jonas Salk. It's getting a lot of hits right now, saying that the polio vaccine causes polio. And we have a lot of other stuff as well. So if you want to stay armed with information in this war, basically, that we're going through, please check out our webpage. I try and leave stuff in the link. Sometimes that might be a day later, just because I make these videos while I'm driving, and I don't really have the links on me to put when I post the video. But if I don't do that, you can usually check on our page, because we have a lot of info. We do a lot of research on the side into medical history and vaccine propaganda and stuff, and we try and counter that. That's not the only thing that we talk about, but since I feel like no other quote-unquote conservatives or libertarians are covering it, because they don't have balls, or they're just you know, they're just as brainwashed and they believe the hype as well. So since I really don't see anybody covering it, I see Patriot Nurse. Sorry, I love that girl. I'll give her that credit. She's an amazing woman. She's the only other conservative or libertarian. I guess libertarians are conservative. She's the only other, like, kind of people in that that I see covering that. But in anybody else, either they don't know, or they just, like I said, they don't balls. So yeah. So please check out our Facebook page. There's two Truther Talks. There's one with the little bunny in the hole. That's ours. The blue and white one. That's ours. So check. There's a bunch of stuff. Go get informed. Share our stuff. We have a lot of studies and stuff we post. We have news articles. We have testimonies, and jokes and stuff as well, and memes. So yeah, check us out. All right, guys. I love you guys. Talk to you later. Peace and love. Bye bye.